Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name's Nicole and it's time to wrap up the month of November, which I feel like flew by. It went so fast in some ways, and then in terms of reading, I feel like it went really slow. So let's go ahead and talk about it. I'm going to go through what I read in November and just give some general stats regarding that and a quick update on the different reading projects or whatever that I have going on. I feel like I've forgotten some at this point. I'm just totally going to be honest. But I'm hoping that when I do my end of year wrap up that I'll catch all the ones that I've completely forgot to mention in forever. Maybe I've even forgotten about them myself. I don't know. Anyway, here is the stack of what's going on today. But let's be honest. I have a book in here that I didn't even read this month. I don't know how this slipped in there, but where was this hiding out? That's what I want to know. Anyway, I'm not going to talk about the books that I DNF'd, which are these ones right here. I talked about those last week in my DNF wrap up, basically, is what I ended up happening. Oh, I didn't DNF that one either. What is going on? Anyway, I DNF'd 4 books this month, right? Are they? Yeah, okay. These are the right ones. I swear, I plan these videos and then I start filming and things go wild. Okay, and then here are the books that I read this month. I'm now feeling really skeptical and unsure about everything. Maybe I just need to go ahead and switch over to the graphics because I feel like there's also a book that's not included in there. Anyway, you can see on the screen a little summary of how my month went. I read 7 books, supposedly, even though I don't have 7 there, so not sure what that is. And I read a total of 1,990 pages, which is really on the low end for me, but I think that does reflect how this month went, partially because some of the books that I DNF'd, I did read like 50 to 100 pages of them, so altogether that would have taken up a couple of days. And my average rating for this month was 3.89. And to give you an idea of what that looks like and the actual books that I read, I did make a little graphic for you to look at that has all the books that I read as well as what I gave them for star ratings. So there's that for you. And if you want to know like more detailed thoughts about each of those things, I do talk about them each week in my weekly reading wrap ups. But in case you forgot, that includes my brilliant career. I did have a whole book discussion on Great Expectations that I did. I have continued in a series with The Eye in the Door, which I read with my bookish bestie. I reviewed The Edge of Water, as well as Council Culture, which I have to say was probably my favorite book that I read this month. And I also recently did a review of The Dispossessed. And I do have a review of To Be Taught If Fortunate. It just wasn't in the month of November, so I don't know how that snuck in there. And then the other book that I am still currently reading and just about to finish is Clarissa. I am currently 14 pages from being done with this 1,400 page book, almost 1,500 pages to be honest. We got cheated 1 page. And yeah, it's going really well. I feel like I barely recall what's happening at this point because I am reading it on the days it's dated, and there were only 2 letters this month. And what were those 2 letters about? I don't know. Lovelace saying shenanigans to his friend. Like, that's what pretty much the summary of the book is. So I so far have quite a few thoughts on that book, how I felt about rereading it, and whether or not I feel like reading it on the days the letters were dated worked well or not. And I'm kind of glad I'm doing it this way towards the end to have a fuller picture of it all. And I will be giving my final thoughts and a book review on Clarissa in the month of December for sure. Okay, what else do we need to go over today? Herkyed, let me update you on that. I will show you my bingo board as it's currently filled out. I have completed 7 out of the 25 prompts on there. If you're not that familiar with the hardest reading challenge, it has a 25 prompt bingo board, but really each of the 25 prompts on this bingo board are their own little mini challenge. And so I think I have something like almost 100 books that I would have to read for this reading challenge in general to get a blackout on the bingo board. In my update this month, there are 2 other bingo board spots that I finished. One was the area by the hundreds, and I will put up on the screen all the books that I have finished that counted towards my by the hundreds. And that's where you had to read a book that was in the 100s, 200s, 300s, 400s, I think all the way up to 700s. oddly enough, I think the book for the 700s was the first one that I finished. Maybe that's not odd for me as a reader. The other category that I completed this month is adaptations. This was an this was a mini challenge that I was pretty sure was going to be pretty easy for me to fulfill over the course of a year, just because I do read quite a few classics, and classics tend to have tons of adaptations done for them: TV, movie, film, graphic novel, play, musical, radio, you name it, there's probably been an adaptation done. So I am almost surprised that it took me so long to finish that particular challenge. But anyway, it's going well, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to hit the end because I have to double check, but I did manage to read a book for a new release for October, because for this challenge every single month you need to read a new release, and I'm pretty sure that what I am now missing is one for November. Now there's still a chance that I might get one. I have all the way until the end of January basically to get a new release from November read, and I did get a surprise sneak one in for October at the very end. But my like motivation to keep looking for them is waning. And so there's a part of me that wouldn't be sad to let that go come the new year. But we'll see how it goes. I don't know. I haven't made any decisions or anything yet, but that's where that challenge is at. Now, I also have my own challenge that I'm doing, the high school required reading challenge that I am doing with my friend Alex. And this month, in the month of November, we did read and talk about Great Expectations. In fact, we read it in October, and it was also the book for my member book club. But we discussed it on live with my channel members and anybody else who wanted to join us in the month of November. That just happened. I feel like November's been like 7 months long, and yet only a day all at the same time. That's why I'm like, is that really what happened? Yeah, that is what happened. You can go and watch that if you want more information on my thoughts on Great Expectations, what our experience was like reading it, and our thoughts about where it fits in as a high school reading book thing. What am I even saying? I think my thoughts are going everywhere. What I do want to share is that our next read that we are doing for the high school required reading challenge is The Great Gatsby. You can feel free to join us in this challenge anytime. We do have a report card where we're keeping track of and giving a grade to each of the books on that list. So I will put up on the screen what our next couple of books are. We don't necessarily do one of these books each month. Right now, we've kind of just been doing it as we go, but we do have plans starting basically in January, February of how we're going to sort of schedule it for the rest of next year, because we're about halfway through the list we created for ourselves, and we would love for more people to join us if they would like. And so we're going to schedule it so that that's more possible for everyone, and that will be coming out soon. Okay, another reading challenge that I haven't talked about in a while, but I actually finished, go me, is the 52 book club reading list for 2025. This particular reading challenge has been going on for multiple years, and each year they put out a list of 52 prompts to just help you figure out like a list of books to read and put together and that kind of thing. And you know, it's basically the idea that if you wanted to do a different book for each prompt, that would give you one book per week at least if you wanted to go at that pace. I have now done this, I think 2, maybe 3 years in a row, and each year I just kind of like read whatever it is I feel like reading and fit it into a prompt and see where I am at the end of the year. I think last year I was only 1 or 2 away. This year I'm happy to say I finished it, I did it, I have all 52 books, so I will put up on the screen my set of 52 books. And I did only just finish this prompt this month. The last 2 books that I was rating on, I had to actually wait for the fall. Well, at least for one of them, I had to wait for the fall, because I think I finished 50 of the books by the month of August, maybe by the beginning of August. But one of the prompts, prompt number 46, needed to be a book that you read in a Ber month, like as in a month that ends with BER, so September, October, November, December. Right? I think that's all of them. And so I had to wait until at least September, and I did get a book in for number 46, and that was To Be Taught If Fortunate. Maybe that's why that's over here. That could be what's going on. And then the other one that I had left was I was waiting to read a book that was published in 2025. I'm pretty sure I've read other books this year that were published in 2025, but in all honesty, I hadn't relooked at this board since October because I knew I was waiting for the fall. Anyway, I ended up putting Edge of Water in for that pick, and that completed that board. I am done with that challenge, and I had a really good time. I will say now that as of the moment, they have already put up the 52 book club list for 2026. So if you want to go and check that out, it's really fun. They have mini prompts, they have mini challenges, they have all sorts of little things that you can do throughout the year, and they have it on Storygraph and Goodreads and all the other places. I personally, for 2026, am not going to be working on that because one of the things that I'm trying to reduce in the year of 2026 is the number of random challenges that I have to follow throughout the year, especially challenges where all I'm doing is plugging in what I'm reading anyway. Okay, and I guess that's all the updates I have, amazingly. So what's up next? Okay, in my reading life, the TBR that I'm currently working on is my 10 Before the End list. So I don't think I said in that video, but I'm really not going to have a TBR for December other than that list because I've created that list multiple years in a row and then never think about it again. And so this year I was like, why don't I actually make those books the books that I plan on reading in December? So if you want to know what my plans are to read from now to the end of the year, you can go back and see that video. I already mentioned that I plan on finishing Clarissa. The last letter in there is dated on December 10th. So that will be done really soon, and I cannot believe it. For my member book club, I do have plans for that. And in December, we are going to be reading and discussing The Nutcracker and the Mouse King by E.T.A. Hoffmann, not to be confused with the other version that I'm not going to say the name of or the author of. We are reading The Nutcracker and the Mouse King by E.T.A. Hoffmann. I can't say that enough times because I'm really afraid that somebody's going to read the wrong book. Anyway, it's a short little novella story. I don't know what length it has to be a short story, but it's 62 pages long in the edition I have. It's a charming story. It is the story that kind of loosely inspired the music for the ballet, but there's a whole story behind that. And there's also a interesting narrative about whether or not that's what E.T.A. Hoffmann would have wanted done with his original story. And we're going to discuss all of that in book club. So if you'd like to participate in that, you just need to join my channel memberships and we will talk about that. And I'm looking forward to it. I also have a ton of buddy reads planned, and I'm looking around trying to figure out where my books are for that. I don't even know. I meant to have them over here, but I know I've already buddy read The Street by Ann Petrie. I'm buddy reading Imago. I have my book club picks for 2026 put together, and so that announcement will be going up soon. I have the viewer pick that is going to be voted on soon. So if you didn't see my 10 Before the End video, one of the things that I mentioned in there is that you could vote for my final viewer pick of 2025. Though I have the feeling that the winner for that one, I might not end up reading this month, but we'll see. I don't want to give anything away. But there is still time to vote on the viewer pick. If you want to do that, you can see that video to see what the options are that you can vote on, and you have until December 1st. And this video should be coming out before December 1st, but make sure you leave the comment in that video. If you leave comments in here on what you're voting for, I'm not going to see them. It's going to be too late. And yeah, and then other things for this month, I will be putting out my December wrap up this month, and I will also be putting out my best books of 2026. Unlike a lot of people who do those videos in January, I always like to put that out the week of Christmas because I feel like that's what I would want to watch Christmas week, and like think about like in terms of Christmas presents, especially if like I get a gift card to a bookstore, like I want to know what other people really liked to read that year so I can go shopping after Christmas. Anyway, that's just me, but that's what you have to look for. I hope you are having a wonderful month, that your November reading went well, and that you're enjoying the rest of the year in December, and that you're able to wrap up 2025 in a wonderful manner. And that's it for me, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye!